Alright folks, so I wanted to take a moment to go over the non-representational painting project directions. This is the project that we'll be working on for the next 3 weeks. Now first off, I'll review more about this later on in the course, but a lot of you may not be familiar with what non-representational painting is or means. Essentially, a non-representational painting is just a painting that's not recognizable as a person, place, or thing. Instead, it uses things like colors, shapes, lines, blended colors to create an image that we wouldn't put a particular name to. So that's the main thing you need to know for now. If that's still confusing, just know that in the next lecture, when you watch that, there'll be many examples of what this could look like. So the surface for this final project will be 24-inch by 18-inch canvas, canvas board, canvas paper. Any of those are fine. For the first stages of this, you'll be doing some planning. You'll do 3 experimental compositions on a small size canvas board, canvas paper, or cardboard, whatever surface you have. The exact size doesn't matter. It's small to medium type of size. Somewhere in the vicinity of 8.5 inches by 11 inches tends to work well for most people. The materials you'll need for the project as a whole will be 2 paint colors plus white. So essentially for this project, you'll be using only 3 tubes of paint that you can mix any way you wish to. So you'd be very surprised the wide variety of colors you can get only mixing white plus 2 other colors. There are some exceptions to that for painting 2 folks, which I'll cover later. And then you'll just need all your other painting tools that are listed here. The requirements for this project for painting 1 folks are to use a limited color palette of 3 tubes of paint, but you can mix endless colors from those 3 tubes of paint. This can be up to 5 tubes of paint for painting 2, although you may want to keep it only at 3 or 4. Just because at a certain point the colors can get to be less harmonious as you add more tubes of paint into your mixtures. White will most likely be one of your colors. That's why I say, 3 tubes of paint or 2 colors plus white. And generally it's best to choose 1 dark color as well, depending on the aesthetic you're going for. Okay, so looking ahead, this week will be Progress Photo 1, where you will create 3 or more small experimental designs of that small size I mentioned earlier. Week 2, or Progress Photo 2, you'll complete about 50% of your 18 by 24 painting, and then in the final session, you'll turn in your completed non-representational painting. This project does go faster than the other projects in class, so we just don't need as much time for it. Okay. Like I said before, you can mix your limited color palette in a variety of ways. Generally, successful paintings will have a full range of values, so you may want to photograph your painting and then change that photograph to black and white. And that way you can see if you have a full range of value. And by a full range of value, I mean pure white, pure black, and a range of grays in between. So it's like the full value spectrum. And then last of all, think about what you can use to apply paint besides brushes to get interesting textures. This could be something like a palette knife, a plastic fork, sticks, sponges, Q-tips, or just anything you want to experiment with. For painting 2 folks, you are required to integrate an unconventional material of some kind into your painting. Past students have used things like string, tissue paper, tinfoil, and googly eyes, but the possibilities are endless. Painting 1 students can also do this as an option, but it's not required. So a few examples of painting 2 projects. The student used some collage of newspaper as her unconventional material. This student used glow-in-the-dark paint and googly eyes. And then this student used paper mache, so she got a lot of literal 3-dimensionality to her painting. If you're still confused about the planning stage, these pictures may be helpful. So this is an example of 3 experimental paintings from different students. This was their planning stage, and then they chose their favorite one to expand on into the final project. If you want to stick with the same color palette for all 3 of these experiments, you can, or if you want to use a different color palette for each one, that's also fine. You can certainly do more than 3 of them as well. This is just meant to be an experimental process to help you plan your final painting.